Hey Science 8s, it's Manshak here with a hopefully very quick video to wrap up Unit E and very excitingly wrap up Science 8. Can you guys believe it? You made it through. We've done a little over 2 months, maybe almost 2.5 months right now of isolation learning. And you guys have done an excellent job of it. And I'm so very impressed with what we're doing. So to wrap up Unit E, which has been all about fresh and saltwater systems, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an easier task to wrap things up. I'm going to set you guys an assignment. For this week, and I'll explain what that assignment is going to be. It's an activity that's going to get you outside, taking photos of something outside, and having a little bit of fun, I hope, with that. So what I'm going to do to outline this to you is I'm going to walk you through this presentation I put together that is basically a carbon copy of the activity sheet that you're going to be given in the Google Classroom, and you're going to just work your way through this activity, submit it when it's done, and you are finished Science 8. As always, if you guys have any questions, if you need any help with anything, then please track me down. I'm happy to help you guys out with those kinds of things. So this project you guys are going to be working on, this last little activity, is sort of going to take everything you've done in Unit E and wrap it up into one little project. And so you're going to be evaluating wetland health. That's what I've called this for Concept E4. And this is the activity. This is what you guys are going to do. So I'm going to have you guys, your purpose, your ultimate goal in this is to synthesize the content we've learned throughout Unit E into an examination of the health of a local wetland, a freshwater ecosystem. And we've been talking about those all the way through. And the ultimate goal that I hope that you'll get, that I want to see when you're done, is to spend some time getting to know a wetland close to your home. So, and when I mean close to your home, make it as close as possible. Some of you live out on farms or acreages. Well, just find a wetland on your property and go and hang out there for an hour. Some of you live in town. Well, go find a wetland nearby town. I know they are there. Just let your parents know that you're heading out. This is something that you're doing. Maybe grab your brothers or sisters and bring them with you and have some fun with this. Just explore and get to know a little bit about a wetland. Ultimately, when we get to the end of this, I'm going to be asking you whether you think that wetland that you spent an hour at is healthy or not. Okay? So that's our ultimate goal. That's what I want you to do, is evaluate based on what you observe and what we've learned in this class, whether this wetland is healthy or not. So here's what I'm going to do, is that's what we're going to do. I've put forward basically some background information for you. So I'm expecting you guys to use a little bit of what you've learned in this unit to sort your way through this. But also I provided a little bit of stuff for you to provide some background information. This is on your activity sheet. All these links are there, so you can just access them from there, but I've just put them up on the screen here just for some color and visual appeal and whatnot. So I want you to click through these. They're all relatively short, maybe upwards of 5 minutes at the most. One of them's 30 seconds long. So the first thing is just a couple of short videos on what a wetland is. Okay, have a look at those just in case you're not sure. You guys are going to be looking for ponds or sloughs and doing your evaluation based on that. Here's a little bit of information on why we think wetlands are important, just a little bit of background. So we've got some information from Ducks Unlimited, which I'm sure you guys have heard of, and just another message from Ramsar, which is one of the wetlands conservation organizations out in the world. A couple of tips for you, and again, this is in your the handout that I've given you guys for this. So we're going to examine the health of our wetlands by looking at 3 things. So when you get out there, you guys are going to be taking notes on 3 things in particular. You're going to be looking at biotic components, abiotic components, and human impacts. Remember, biotic components are the living components of your ecosystem. In this case, the freshwater ecosystem you're going to look at. Abiotic factors are the non-living things that are out there. Things like water quality or air quality, temperature, turbidity. Remember, turbidity is how clear or not clear the water is. And then human impacts. Are there things that we are doing as humans to or around the wetland that might impact the health of the wetland? So you're going to be watching out for human impacts like footprints or tire tracks or evidence of people fishing or farming nearby, because all of those can impact what's going on in the wetland. One other thing I pulled up, and I'm just going to move myself out of the way, is as I was doing some research for this project for you guys, I came up with something that I pulled out of a report that I thought, this is very much higher level than where I want to be at, but it gives you some ideas of some of the things you can look at when you're exploring a wetland, right? So, and this is what biologists would do. So they might explore, for example, biotic factors like life stages or what kind of animals are present, those kinds of things. They might explore energy sources, which is sort of abiotic. Habitat structure, kind of biotic, abiotic. Hydrology is sort of what's the water doing in there? Is it a deep body of water? Is it very shallow? What's the land use around? What kind of runoff can affect it? Chemical variables are all abiotic as well. So things like pH, how acidic or basic it is. Turbidity, we've talked about. Organic stuff in the water, chemicals that might be in there. So all of those things you guys can be looking for. I'm including this to give you guys ideas as to the kinds of things that I want you to look out for when you get out to your wetland. Okay? Remember, this is all in your background information. So here's what I want you to do. This is the procedure. These are the steps that I want you to go through to do this. First, I want you to scout out and find a wetland near your home, and I want you to explore it. Think about spending about an hour out there. If you need longer, great. If you need shorter, that's fine. Fit it into your schedule, make it work for you. Remember, the goal of the exploration, keep that always in the back of your mind, is to evaluate how healthy the wetland is. Is it healthy? Is it unhealthy? Okay. When you get out there, I want you guys to bring your phone or a tablet or a notebook or some other thing that you can use for recording to take notes on what you're observing. And in particular, I want you guys observing biotic factors, okay, abiotic factors, and human impacts. So biotic factors, what's the wildlife you're seeing? What sort of plants are nearby? If you can identify them, great. If not, take a picture of them and say, hey, these are the things that I saw, and they look to be relatively healthy, right? What would you say the wetland? Would you say the wetland has lots of diversity or very little diversity? Why or why not? Okay. You're going to be looking at abiotic factors. What's the water quality in general? Can you look in and see? Are you seeing, things on the water that might indicate different kinds of quality? Remember, more organisms in the water might indicate a better water quality. Are there other abiotic factors that you're noticing? Maybe you put your hand in the water and it's really warm or it's super cold, right? Does that impact it? Can you see to the bottom? There's your turbidity. Is it very clear or is it really, really murky? This time of year might be a bit more murky because we're still in the throes of spring. And then you guys are going to keep an eye out for human impacts. What signs are there? So things like vehicle tracks. Is there oil slicks? Is there garbage? What other kinds of things can you find that indicate that humans are around? I put together for you guys I'll make this a bit bigger, a field cheat sheet that if you wanted to, it'll be in the Google Classroom where you found this video. You could pull this out and bring it with you and just have it handy. And it's got just basically the stuff that I've just talked about to help you out. Remember, you're observing and taking notes, and those notes can be in video form or photo form. You can create sort of a photo journal. Maybe you're like drawing and you're going to draw pictures of the stuff that you see. Do what you want to do, but take notes somehow. Why are you going to take notes? Because when you get back, you are going to create a report. And that report is going to basically do a few things. You're going to start to analyze what you took notes of. And I want you to ask yourself these questions. What did you see indicating that the wetland was healthy? What did you see that was indicating the wetland was unhealthy? Do you need to gather more information and go out? Okay, so bring back your stuff, start to think about that, and then you move on finally to submitting your final report. Okay, your final report is going to tell me basically, I think the wetland is healthy, or I think the wetland is unhealthy. Okay, and here is why. So you're going to make your conclusion, whether you think the wetland is healthy or not. And then you're going to justify your choice. And what I mean by justify is you're going to present, this is why I think it's healthy. This is why I think it's unhealthy. And that is going to include evidence. Okay. Your evidence would be maybe the photos you took, videos you took, quotations from the written notes that you took to back up your claim. So you might say something like, I think the wetland is healthy. Here are the reasons why. And then you might show me a photo of a whole bunch of ducks out on the wetland. And you might say underneath that photo, I think the wetland is healthy because there's lots of ducks out there. That means that the water is clean, or something along those lines. How much evidence do I need? That's entirely up to you. How much do you think you need to prove to me that your conclusion is true? Okay. I'm going to show you guys some examples later on, and you guys are going to go from there. The last thing I want in your report are some recommendations. Now, the recommendations you're going to make will change depending on whether your wetland is healthy or not. If your wetland is healthy, make recommendations to me that would help to keep it healthy, right? Minimize, human activity. I don't know what it might be. Or suggestions to help clean up the wetland. What could be done to help clean up the wetland? I'm thinking maybe 1 or 2 recommendations, 3, something like that should be enough for you. Okay. And then finally, when you're done all of that and you put it all together, and we'll talk about the format you can do this in later on, you can submit your report to me in Google Classroom, and you're just going to attach it to the assignment that you found this video in, okay, for this particular concept. If you need help with that, track me down, of course. Your final report can take on a number of forms. How you want to submit it to me is entirely up to you. I'm going to show you 2 examples, or I will have included 2 examples, not to this video, but attached to your assignment, that'll allow you to see a video report that I've put together, as well as a written report. The video report, I'm just going to splice together. I've just spliced together some videos I took with me explaining my conclusion and my justification, sort of bringing them all together. And then, of all these little video bits of evidence. And then you could also do a written report. And the written report would be maybe in a Google slide format, and you'll have your conclusion on one slide, and then your bits of evidence to justify how it is on other slides. And that's a great spot to put in your photos. Or maybe you're doing a combination of both, where you're doing a Google slide where you do your justification or your conclusion and your justification, and each different slide has a different video on it. It's up to you. If you want to do something else, run it by me first, just to make sure that we think we can get it done in the time. Okay. However you format this, just make sure you're getting the things that I wanted, right? So the conclusion and your justification, including evidence, and then your recommendations for cleaning things up. Okay. You're going to be graded on this. Okay. I'm going to assess this based on 2 criteria. One is my section called Analyzing and Interpreting. Did you draw a clear conclusion, and how well did you justify using the evidence you collected? And then the next one is going to be on your communication ability. And I'm not going to grade you like you are a professional communicator. Okay, I'm going to grade you on, was it clear what you were trying to tell me? Whether you used written or video, photos, or whatever it is could I hear you if you're using a video? Is your information accurate? The rubric is in the Google Classroom attached to that assignment where you got this from, so you can track it down there. So I'm also going to include at the bottom of your activity sheet, and by the way, your activity sheet is going to look like this, and you're going to click on that, and that's what you'll use, and you each have your own copy of this, and all of the stuff I've gone through is on here as well. Okay, and when you get to the end, you're going to have 2 links at the bottom here for the video report and the written report of my exemplars, of my examples of what things are going to look like. Ultimately, this is the end of my presentation for you. Ultimately, I want you guys to have fun with this. Go out, take what you've learned over this unit, get outside for an hour, do some observations, then come back, throw it all together. I'm thinking 2 hours tops to get this down, and you guys are done. Okay, have some fun, get outside, be creative. I know some of you love being creative, so go ahead and do that. just submit something. Go out and tell me, hey, the wetland I looked at, I think is healthy. Here is why. Here is my evidence. And here's what we can do to keep it healthy. That's really all that I'm looking for in this. Okay. If you guys have any questions on any of this, please track me down via email, pop in for a Google chat at some point. Do something along those lines to sort of help yourself out and get more information on this. If you need any support with getting things submitted up to the Google Classroom, we can meet for a really quick Google Meet and troubleshoot together on how to do that kind of stuff. If there's anything else you guys need, please track me down. That is it from me. I might do a video sort of send off to you guys at the end of next week or the following week. But for now, this is Science 8. If you guys have done an excellent job, I've been so happy. I've only had you for a half a year, but I really enjoyed the time we had together, the short month and a half that we had in the classroom, and then this sort of 2.5, 3 months that we've had in this sort of isolation teaching that we're doing here, teaching and learning. So thank you so much for doing this. Make sure you guys are staying healthy. Make sure you guys are taking care of each other and your families. And I hope that we get to talk really soon. Take care.